This is me tied up and stuck in the desert after a big night out, and this is a sus looking bird. Correction, was a sus looking bird. I am then approached by the shirtless hunky man, and since I'm tied up, I'm kind of concerned about where this might go. He then approaches, crouches down, and pushes me over. I'm now definitely prepared to be taken advantage of. Thankfully, he removes the nails out of my hands, gives me some water, and says,
"You live again, dead man.
Turns out I was kind of wrong about him.
This land does not love men.
That's a strange kind of thing to say in these circumstances. Anyway, he gives me this speech about living or love or something, then he walks into the sandstorm, which I really think is poor judgment, but hey, each to their own. Because this is only the beginning of my 100 days in Conan Exiles. Welcome legends to day 1 in Conan Exiles. The first thing we do is head on over to this large stone tablet, but as we approach it seems to light up and glow. I'm starting to think these substances consumed last night are still in effect. We then continue wandering the sandy desert to find a really large bat. I'm telling you, whatever happened last night is making me trip balls. I see one of the bros from last night is still passed out. Or he's dead, I'm unsure. I then continue on. Since we seem to be trapped here, we might as well set up camp. I know I'm going to need some resources, but I'm unsure how to gather them. I then do some roleplay with these trees. I'll be Johnny Depp and they'll be Amber Turd. Turns out that's not how you gather resources. Through some more wandering around, we run into a guy named Arcos the Wanderer. He teaches us a pretty useless skill, the polite clap. I fail to see how that'll be useful in this situation in these exiled lands. I then figure out how to make our first weapon. You have to pick stuff off the ground. So we go ahead and make ourselves some daggers, and then a lady jumps off the rock and comes out of nowhere with a spear. She seems kind of aggressive, so we run away. Now, I'm not usually into violence against women, but lady chases you down with a long stick and spear. You gotta do what you gotta do. Now, while we're doing this, I was completely naked. Now, fighting a woman in the water like this naked wasn't exactly the fantasy I dreamed of. So I crafted myself some clothes and continued on our journey. We then found another stone tablet that started glowing, which seemed to be surrounded by ghosts, and I swear these drugs, I don't know what's going on. We did get some serious experience points, so that's going to be handy this early in game. But just up the ways from here, we met Nunu the Cannibal. He has quite the funny name, but I'm not going to mention it to him because, after all, he's a cannibal. He then teaches us how to cheer and forced us to learn a religion that I don't know if I wanted to be a part of. But hey, who's going to turn down a cannibal? Day 2 and day 3, we're focused on getting a base down. I've decided to build in this area. They call it Noob River, as most of the stuff around here are pretty low level and weak-ish. But before we could build, we need to gather a ton of resources. Mainly stone and wood. Iron doesn't hurt either. Now we can start the epic build montage. We finished this build off by placing down some crafting benches. As you may or may not know, this game requires so many different crafting benches, it's ridiculous. Day 4, we venture out to go do a little bit of exploring when we come across this baby hyena. So I steal it. In Conan Exiles, kidnapping is completely legal and not frowned upon. In the real world, please don't do it at home. Then as we were out, a sandstorm rolled in and it started to hurt. I don't know how that hunky man earlier just walked straight into it. I wonder if we'll ever see him again. He's probably dead. We then made it back to base and then we walked in underneath this corner roof part. It was the only place that I placed the roof and that was safe from the sandstorm. I then decided to place down this animal pen so I could cage up this baby hyena that we found earlier. It'll help it grow up and to be a strong, obedient hyena. This is how we tame creatures in this game. Hey, well, will you look at that? A little turtle came through too. I guess I gotta kidnap this one too. The following day, we built a roof. It literally took us all day because resources are heavy, so carting them back and forth took a long time. Hold up, we have a sponsor, World of Tanks. Now, are you ready for a new and exciting gaming experience? Look no further than World of Tanks, the free-to-play game that lets you take control of over 550 tanks and dominate the battlefield. Because you all know, I like to dominate. With realistic graphics, intense gameplay, and a variety of other tanks to choose from, you'll never get bored. Play with friends in co-op mode or compete against other players from around the world in this multiplayer mode. Make sure to register now with my link in the description and you will receive all of these goodies. Excelsior, Tier 5, 250,000 credits, and 7 days of premium access. But no, that's not all. You will also get 3 extra rental tanks for 10 battles each. So dude, you gotta be crazy not to join the millions of players already dominating the battlefield and immerse yourself in the thrilling world of World of Tanks. Remember, it's not just a game, it's a way of life. Thank you World of Tanks for sponsoring this video. Day 6 and we completed another journey step. We crafted our first iron tool, the iron sickle. This way we're going to be able to gather fiber a lot easier. I also crafted an iron sword, so now we can really go and f up all the locals. And that's basically what we did. We went on out to explore, found a couple people, and engaged in this 2v1 situation. I was a little bit overconfident because we almost died. So I went back to base and crafted up a shield. Hopefully it'll protect us a little bit. Then we ventured back out to only get attacked by a bunch of hyenas. Now, I found a cheesy way to get away from these guys. You can just climb the mountain. See? These guys can't get us now. Day 7 and we're getting our ass kicked by this game. And my solution for this is slavery. I harvest up a ton of resources so then we can place down one of these things. Yes, this will allow us to get our very own slaves. Although frowned upon in modern society, having a ton of slaves in this video game is quite the flex. But before we can get our very own slave, we need to craft up some bindings and this truncheon, which kind of just looks like a big stick with some rope around it. Now to go find another human being that we can knock out, tie up and bring him back to base. We start swimming across the water here and find a group of bandits across from our base. Surely one of these guys will be good enough. We start fighting and start hitting away with our truncheon, but we were taking some significant damage. Eventually, I had to run away. I couldn't fight these guys. With our health fully healed, we went back out to try and find another one, but maybe one by themselves. And that's where we spotted this lonely girl sitting by a campfire. I swam across the water and started bashing her in the head. I knocked her out unconscious. Then I tied her up and started bringing her back to our base. I won't lie, this feels kind of weird. I'm not sure if I play the hero in this game or the villain. We eventually got her back to our base, put her in the wheel of pain, fed her, and make her walk around in circles for a long time until she submits to our rule. Day 8, it's time to step it up a little bit. Currently, we're dressed like a peasant, and now we have some decent medium armor that's gonna help us start slaying the rest of this world. And that's exactly what we went and did. We started off by slaughtering all these hyenas, followed by a couple crocodiles, then headed over to the Defire camp where we killed off some of the indigenous population. Day 9, we returned back to our home base and checked up on our thrall. You know, the slave girl that we caught earlier? They call them thralls in this game. She needed a couple more minutes in this wheel before she would become compliant and obey every one of our commands. Our thrall is now ready, so I take it out of the wheel of pain and place her down. Her current name is kinda hard to say, so I rename her Sharon. Our animal friends have also grown up and can now be placed around our base to protect it from any intruders. We got super lucky and our hyena came out as a greater version, which is significantly stronger than a base hyena. Now Sharon here is very lonely and I know what I need to do. I need to go beat up another woman and make her my subordinate. Having all these women around me is gonna make me a top G and Uncle Andrew would be so proud. After beating up this woman and knocking her out, I took her back to the Wheel of Pain and waited until she would submit to us. When she finally submitted to us, we named her Karen. And since I was feeling pretty generous, I put some of the same armor that I was wearing on Karen. I then went to go visit my neighbor Conan. As I play this on my personal server that you can join at any time. Just join my Discord and all of the info to join in on this server is all there. Conan was kind of getting beat up, so I finished off the creatures around his base just to help him out a little bit. It's now time, I think, that we head out and do some exploring. As we were running though, I looked behind us only to see a turtle chasing us. Nope, that's our new friend, the Shaleback. It's pretty cool. We basically now have our very own Ninja Turtle. And with the way I'm dressed, I kind of look like Shredder. Through this little outing, we came across a cave, which seems to be guarded by a group of people that make it sound like they're constipated on the toilet. Don't worry, I also understand that relief you get when it finally comes out. They weren't that friendly, so myself and my Ninja Turtle fought this entire group. A few swings in though, I think I was overconfident and they killed me. This is our first death. Once I spawned back at base, I asked Karen to follow me because I'm a top G now and she will do all the fighting on my behalf. We made our way back to the cave entrance just in time to save out... never mind. We finished off the last person at the entrance and then went further into the cave. Having Karen with me definitely helped. We got through the cave defeating most of the enemies, but didn't go the whole way. At this time, I was unsure how deep the cave went, so I wasn't ready to lose my Karen. Day 11, I named our greater hyena Stacy. And Stacy is going to be one of our main creatures for this 100 days challenge. I then took her out to go and fight some things in order to make her stronger and gain some more levels. Upon our travels, we turned around this corner and saw this gigantic turtle, and I wasn't too sure of its strength. As we got closer, I saw it had a skull on its health bar, and we all know skulls equal bad news. I snuck around it from behind in order to avoid any conflict, and this is what I heard. Oh crap, it's gonna kill me and Stacy. I knew it was kinda cheesy, but I climbed the mountainside, as I know the turtles cannot climb this. And unfortunately neither can Stacy, and she's a pretty bloodthirsty dog, so she stayed to fight. Knowing I really didn't want to lose Stacy as we have a tight bond already, you know, the type that every dog owner has, I joined back into the fight. It actually wasn't that hard to defeat this turtle. Since we're already so far away from our base right now, I decided it's time for us to venture far, far north, aiming to get around about here. As we were trudging through these scorching sands, we stumbled upon a city filled with NPCs who surprisingly aren't trying to kill us. Yet. We'll come back and check this out later, but right now we have a mission to fulfill. Just past the city, we came across this oasis that's teeming with ninja turtles. They're tough as nails, but we're tougher, or at least we thought we were. After a brief battle, we realized we're no match for the shelled warriors and retreat with our tails between our legs. Continuing on our journey, we spot a herd of rhinos, and among them, a baby rhino that we simply can't resist. We whisper to ourselves, yoink, and make a run for it. We had finally made it to our destination. This is where I wanted to find a baby horse. Having a horse will help us get around this massive map so much easier. The only thing now is I need to get back to base safely. So let the journey begin. Today marks day 14 of our 100-day challenge in Conan Exiles, and what a journey it's been so far. After a long treacherous trek, we finally made it back to our home base. And the first thing on our to-do list? Taming this massive rhino we captured on our travels. So I put him in the taming pen and then went out to gather some resources, as I'm gonna have to create some stables to be able to tame up this horse. Stables just like this one. After waiting patiently for most of the day, our hard work finally paid off. Our rhino is tamed and fully grown up, so we name him Ryan. Ryan the Rhino. The following morning, we checked our stables to see that our horse is all grown up. Then we swapped it out for our second horse that we had also collected. Yeah, I got 2 horses while we're away. While I waited for the second horse to grow up, we went out for a bit of a farm to stock up on supplies. A little while later, the second horse was all grown up as well. So I placed it in this world, and since it looked a little cooler in my opinion than the first horse, I named this horse Nancy. We now have 2 horses, but there was a problem. We need a saddle in order to ride them. Luckily for us, since I'd done some farming earlier, we now have enough resources to be able to make a saddle workbench. And there you have it. We can now ride Nancy. Let's recap. We have a home base, we have ninja turtles, a big puppy, a rhino, 2 female servants, and 2 horses. I think now it's time to turn Super Saiyan. No, that's not actually a thing here. It's actually time for us to move on from Noob River. Look at all that we've acquired already, and we're still a noob. No, we're not. I grabbed some supplies, ordered Stacy to follow us, and jumped on the back of Nancy and rode off into the sunset. Do you remember that oasis that we found earlier riding up the north? Well, who wouldn't want to live in a frickin' oasis in a barren land like this? Also, it's kind of central on the map and will make it hopefully a little bit easier to travel to other parts of the map during this 100 days. Noob River is great for a starter, but it's time that we make some real progress. Plus, it doesn't have a lot of the higher tier resources around that we're going to need later in the late game. With all this, I started preparing to get our new base down. Day 18, the base was coming together really well. We do have a much bigger design in mind for this one, but as we're placing some foundations, we got this notification pop up on the screen. Okay, we have 10 minutes until our very first purge happens. Although exciting, we're kinda not really prepared for this. And because of the settings that I set in the server, I can't work on my base while we wait. So we basically have to go AFK for 10 minutes until they arrive. The scorpions arrived, but they lied. They didn't come alone. They brought humans as backup. Let the fight begin. Our base is completely wrecked and I'm soon going to die. I don't know how I survived this long. As a last ditch effort, I jumped on the back of Nancy and rode into the city. And that's when I was notified that the purge was all over. Phew, that was a massive relief. We returned back to our base and it's in ruins. Chunks taken out everywhere. Now I guess we're just gonna have to rebuild and make it stronger than before. Just as we successfully patched up our base and added a few extra things, this happens. For some damn reason, another purge is incoming. With 10 minutes until the next purge, I jumped on the back of Nancy and raced back to my original starter base. Time is ticking, and as we arrive at our old base, the 10 minutes is up. We quickly grab Karen to help us fight and run straight back. We arrive and the scorpions are already there in full force attacking, but for some weird ass reason, Stacy isn't doing a damn thing. Like bro, I only left for 20 minutes, scorpions show up and you're scared stiff. Some greater hyena you are. Well, Luckily, we have Karen here. She's actually a lot of help. I mean, look at her go. She's good looking and a good fighter. Basically, the perfect woman in this world. I wonder if she can cook. I kind of got distracted by Karen's good looks. I died. I did have a sleeping bag close though, so respawning wasn't too much of an issue. And again, this purge went on for quite a while. All through day 22, after killing a few more of these scorpions, I knew I couldn't do much. And since purges can only last for up to 30 minutes, I just waited it out in this water, since nothing will come in here to fight me. After some time, we got the relief we were after. The purge is over. Upon rebuilding, the first thing I wanted is another taming pen, so that we could tame up more creatures to help us defend against any more purges that come in the future. The first thing that I wanted to tame and make ours was a local of this area, the spotted leopard. And from some earlier scouting, I do know that there's some that spawn nearby. Sadly though, the first thing I had to do was kill the leopard's parents before I could kidnap the babies and claim them as my own. Kinda gives me Harry Potter vibes. Day 23 to 26, we were working on our base the entire time. We needed a ton of resources to place all these foundations and walls down, and we were gathering enough of these creatures that were around us to be able to create an army to defend our base against any further purges. We upgraded and made a few crafting benches around the area as well, and it's a little bit of a cheese idea, but the reason why I did this over the water was because all the enemies in this game are afraid of water and won't touch it. So the only way that they can attack my base is from the front. Plus, it looks kind of cool. In the early morning of day 27, we get another notification that a purge is coming in. Again, we can't do much since building is disabled while we wait for the purge to actually begin. Let the third purge commence. This time we had a little bit of an extra advantage. Having a few of the other creatures here to help us out in this fight is really going to help us out. The first wave begins and we fight some of the basic things that come through. Unfortunately, we did lose a couple Ninja Turtles straight off the bat. Second wave comes in and this guy shows up. He's a named thrall that goes by the name of Broken Fingers. Whilst fighting, Karen was completely surrounded by 3 guys. She died. We just lost our first ever thrall. Mourning the loss of Karen, I stood on top of this base, healing up and just watching them destroy pieces and pieces of my base. I am now ready to get revenge for Karen. Broken Fingers is about to become Broken Everything. We had slayed Broken Fingers and that signaled the end of this purge, which also basically means we spent the whole next day rebuilding. Day 29, we woke up and we decided that medium armor is not for us, so I upgraded us to heavy armor. With our heavy armor on, I felt way confident to be able to go out and explore, so we went on down to the Shattered Springs. Why, you may ask, why are we going down to the Shattered Springs? Well, that's because there's things down here that we can mine in order to get ourselves brimstone. And what is brimstone used for? Well, it's an essential ingredient for us to be able to create steel. Steel is basically the next tier of items that we can create and craft to be able to progress through this game. There was a slight catch though. Once we entered the Shattered Springs in this gassy kind of area, we started receiving damage. I suppose the gas is kind of poisonous. And there's these rock-like creatures that kept messing with us. But the damage wasn't that bad, so I quickly ran in, slayed a couple of the rock-like creatures, and harvested some of the brimstone. We got out. It wasn't a lot of brimstone that we got, but it'll do for now. Day 30 is where I decided I needed to change the purge settings on this server, because we were getting purges way too consistently, and I don't really want to make this a 100 days of purges kind of game. There's so much more to explore in this world. With that all sorted, I then continued on working on my base. I placed down this grinding stone, because we're going to need it to be able to grind up some stuff to make some potions and stuff later. Then I wanted to worship our god Durketer. So I placed down this altar shrine thingy so we could always worship the sex god. Yeah, this particular god is a god for like seduction and sex and stuff. That's why we chose to worship it. I then went on to crafting this special area for our Wheel of Pain. In Conan Exiles, thralls are kind of essential for the late game. Not only are they amazing companions out in the wild, but certain thralls, when you put them in a workbench to work for you, they can unlock certain recipes that you can't do by yourself. So day 31, that's basically all we did. We went out and enslaved some thralls. And there just so happens to be some creepy guys staring at our base from over on that rock ledge over there. Now, I might be looking pretty good in my new armor, but I don't really feel too comfortable being stared at by some creepy old men. One was an armorer, which we can use in a crafting bench, and the other one was a fighter that we can use to defend our base. Both very useful for us right now. We knocked out the armorer straight away, and then it was just a 1v1 against the fighter. Knocked out the fighter, tied him up, took him back to the Wheel of Pain, and then went back for the armorer. On the 32nd day of this adventure, I crafted up a sandstorm mask. But we had other ideas for this sandstorm mask other than being stuck in a sandstorm, obviously. We can actually use it to go down and harvest some brimstone. Since the gassy area around here does damage to us, wearing the sandstorm masks negates that exact thing. So we went down there, fought some of the rocky creatures, harvested up a bunch of brimstone, and then brought it back to base. Now, in order to turn this into steel, we need what's called steel fire. And steel fire is made by mixing tar that we've gathered from crafting all this leather and brimstone. Then we move it over to our forge and mix the steel fire with our iron, and with a little bit of concoctions, we now have steel. With all the steel that we've crafted, we went ahead and made some weapon damage kits. This will allow us to increase our weapon damage, obviously. We also made some armor plating kits, which of course increases our armor value of the current armor we have. That's why our armor stuff in our hotbar and on us look pink. Now that we're all buff and ready to go, I decided it's time for us to really go out and explore this world. So we jumped on the back of Nancy and went on out. While venturing out, we discovered some more rock monsters, and then we discovered a really big rock monster. I knew I wanted to avoid that at all costs. I wasn't about to get into a fight. We continued along, and then we ran into some more NPCs in this little oasis area just outside of this desert. I went up to them, and it looked like they were worshipping a false god. After all, Doketo, the goddess of sex, is the only god for us. I went up and said hello to one of these weirdos, and they forced me to learn about their god. Mitra? I don't know. I was feeling kind of dirty being around these weirdos, so we just left them to do their business. And again, while out in the desert, we spotted this rather large lizard-like creature. Apparently they call them dragons in this thing. I don't see its big large wings or breathing fire. Okay, no, okay, it definitely breathes fire. Yeah, okay, let's avoid this thing and just continue on, because I'm not in the mood to die. Further exploring, at the end of this day, we came across this sinkhole, and there was this big pillar that was glowing. So we attuned our bracelet to it, because apparently later on we can actually use this to teleport to. That'll be handy. Getting around on this map takes so much time. It's already day 34, so I'm planning on heading straight back to base. But on the way, I'm going to make a little stop off at this area. It looks interesting. Find some hostile players, so I kill them quite easily, and then I go a little bit further when this dog-like werewolf thingy comes out to us. So we fought it. Obviously I didn't have much choice. I wasn't sure if I was going to win this one, but we did in the end. And seeing one of them is enough for me, so I'm heading on straight back to base. Again, heading on straight back to base, my ADHD gets the better of me. I get distracted by the big temple that I have seen quite a lot on my journeys. But hey, let's go see what's inside. First we got to kill all these skeletons on the outside. They were fun. Then we walk in through the doors and we're greeted by some more skeletons. Oh, hey there, skeletons. Please die. Which is a strange thing to say, because I think they're already dead. We kill off a few until this big blue... It's not a skeleton. It's a... I don't know what it is. A ghoul or something? Yeah, so we fight that, but it has some pretty powerful attacks and a pretty deadly swing on it. At this very point in our adventure, I don't think I'm going to win this one, so I bail as soon as I can. Instead, I take on a task that I know I definitely can handle. Yeah, the creepy peeping toms have spawned back over in that little rock ledge. So I figured this is a pretty easy way to keep enslaving thralls. Day 35, I woke up feeling great, and now our thralls will now be obedient and obey every one of our commands. I figured now our thralls probably need some names. I named our female thrall Relic Kim. She kind of looks like a Kim, I guess. And our male thrall Relic Rick. Kind of has a nice ring to it. I then went ahead and made a full armor set for Relic Kim. Look, I know I'm kind of simping for her, but hey, she does look pretty good in this getup, don't you think? Day 36, I jumped on the back of Nancy, told Kim to follow me, and we headed on off to our first dungeon in this 100 days. They call this dungeon the Dregs. When approaching the entrance, I saw some ghosts. I think they're having a little bit of a dance battle or something. Anyway, there's a trick to opening this entrance. You have to sacrifice someone for the door to open. Whoever designed this entrance is a sadistic bastard, if you ask me. Myself and Kim head down to the camp below right here, and I asked one of the locals to follow us. We told him we had ice cream. Just joking, we killed him to open up the door. Once entered, we found another glowing tablet and learnt the dredger. Not sure what this is, but hey, I'll take it. We then cleared this first area of these overgrown lizards and continued onwards to find a whole group of ghosts staring at a wall. I assume they like wall art, and I guess it is a nice wall. Oh wait, it's actually a door that opens to another room. This next room was rather confusing. I couldn't figure out how to go on from it. Luckily, I was streaming on Twitch at the time, and my chat explained that most of this dungeon is a puzzle. And this room, I need to shoot a target with my bow and arrow, which yeah, I currently don't have. But as luck would have it, there's sticks and rocks around this room, enough for me to gather to be able to craft a bow and some arrows. With this all crafted, I could now continue on through this dungeon as it made water rise so I could swim through. We then continued on and then hit some more targets to continue on through this puzzle cave. I saw a light shining from the roof and thought to myself, maybe this is a clue to the puzzle. It was nothing, but I kind of looked pretty cool under it. We then eventually made ourselves all the way to the dungeon boss, which was a rather large snake that spits out some green stuff at you. Maybe it's just sick or a little bit grumpy. I mean, I would be too if I'd been stuck down in these living conditions for a long period of time. It's kind of disgusting down here. Buccaneer. Anyway, it was angry, so I guess I had to fight it. When the snake was erect, I couldn't do much, but occasionally it would go limp, and that's when I could slice it up. Although Kim decided to jump straight down into the water and get to work. It's kind of gross. I'm not going down there. We killed this boss, and then we learned some new armor and weapons to craft. We got some pretty cool loot too, I guess. Then we left this sewer-like area and traveled home. Day 38, we tried some farming so we could grow some more aloe in order to mass produce health potions. And honestly, all the work involved kinda wasn't worth it. So we stopped doing this. On day 39, I upgraded my current armor set to the armor called Stygian Armor. Although according to the stats, this armor is better. I kind of feel like I look stupid in it. My manhood is definitely lowering. Day 40, and I'm kind of feeling stuck in our progression. So I thought maybe we could head on north. We might be able to find some better loot or resources or stronger enemies to help us level a little quicker. Riding on Nancy, we made our way through this canyon. As we made it through this gap, I heard some rocks falling, and I thought nothing of it. Until I looked behind me and saw a rock fell and crashed right into us, instantly killing me. Oh, what? I didn't know they'd kill you. Naked and afraid, I ran back to collect my things. I couldn't let Nancy and Kim be all out here alone. Then, as I was getting close to getting all my things, I was chased down by this white tiger and killed once again. I finally made it back to my body, collected my gear, Nancy and Kim. Then continued venturing on north. We then encountered our first enemy. This blue guy right here. I imagine this is what happens when you stand next to a 4G tower for too much time. Moving on, I climbed a mountain. It was fun. Until I made it to the top and was pushed off by this stupid mutt. I was met down the bottom of this mountain by some more of these 4G fiends. They really want my booty. I then climbed back up the mountain to get my revenge on this stupid mutt. I killed it and its friends while it was dark and scored a new chest piece. It doesn't really match my outfit, but fashion was never my strong suit. We then made our way to this dungeon entrance, where once again I had to fight these glowing once were humans. Once they were all defeated, I went back up to the entrance to head into this dungeon, and I was told I needed demon blood to enter. What the f? Where do I get that? Stuff it, I'm going back home. Day 42, I enslaved some more creepy peepers. This has become really easy. I mean, they're close to base and they're kind of weak now. I've been rocking this upgraded sword for a while, but I need to do some more damage to progress further in this game. I need a legendary weapon. Luckily, close to my base we can get one, but we have to fight these oversized bugs. I really wish I had some bug spray right now. Once we defeated some minions, myself and Kim went straight in to fight the queen bee. This is a tough fight and Kim was getting smoked. We kept swinging away as much as we could, and Kim was taking most of the heat from this bug. We got it down to half health, but Kim was on death's door. I didn't want to lose Kim at all, so I turned and ran away, but unfortunately Kim wouldn't follow and lost her life. The queen caught me also, and I died. Now I can revive, but Kim cannot. I went back to my body, collected my gear, then stood over Kim and mourned her death. It was a sad time. Anyway, she's dead and I don't have a legendary weapon, so let's move on. Now the big bug locust queen bee was a little bit hard, so we try a different area that I know that we could possibly get ourselves a legendary weapon. We have to ride all the way back to Noob River, but along the way a sandstorm came in. And to make it matters even worse, we were chased down by Moss the Murderer. I needed to make a little bit of a shelter or else we were gonna die from the sandstorm, but we were getting chased down by a killer. I managed to get some foundations down, but I had to deal with this Moss the Murderer guy. So I quickly sent him to hell and then put up my shelter so I could avoid the sandstorm. We then waited for the weather to clear up and then went on over to the location so we could try and achieve our goal on getting a legendary weapon. We came over to this pond lake area because we need to fight this big bad crocodile. I don't know what they feed these guys in Conan. I'm from Australia, and even our crocodiles don't get that big. I could only imagine Steve Irwin just wanting to jump on it. He won't be too happy with me trying to kill it though. I couldn't believe it, but this crocodile was wrecking me. I got all the way down to half health and it didn't seem to be doing much to it. So I ran back to my Noob River base, and I picked up Ryan the Rhino, see if he could kind of help me out a little bit. I returned back to fight this crocodile, and going past Coroman's base is when I realized, oops, I think I kind of kited the crocodile to Coroman's base, and now all of his creatures are fighting it. I'm sorry, Coroman. My bad. The crocodile was slaying all of Coroman's pets. Again, I'm sorry, dude. This is my bad. But on the other hand, they did help quite a bit and got his health down. I'm just gonna have to fight this one. I eventually died, and then I spawned back at my other base. So this time, I asked Relic Rick to follow us. Myself and Rick went back to fight this big-ass crocodile, and we finally finished him off. I then went and harvested his body so I could get the key off him to go and unlock this chest. And in this chest, we got our first legendary weapon, the Unintelligible. Does that mean we're stupid? Now, you remember that cave that I wanted to go into earlier, and we made it a little bit in, but I didn't want to go all the way because I was kind of scared? Well, now I'm not scared. We do have Relic Rick with us after all. We went through, slayed everybody with ease, and made it all the way to the very last guy. His name is Gilumton Asura's Chosen or something. It's kind of a weird name. Anyway, we killed him. Now thinking back, I probably should have knocked him out and brought him back to base because he's a named alchemist and that would have been very good for our base. But we cleared out this cave and got some pretty good loot and I was satisfied. It's now day 45 and there's a new update in the game. We now have these Conan Exile merchants. Basically, what you need to do is kill some sorcerers or knock them out, bring them back, and then they're going to give you their currency, which you can buy certain weapons, thralls, all different types of things. They're kind of mysterious and kind of cool looking. I'm not too sure what their beef with sorcerers are, but hey, if you're going to pay me to kill some dudes, I'll take it. After all, I've been doing it for free this whole time anyway. And since I'm in the city, I wanted to further explore this area. I haven't really spent much time here. I wanted to see what else this place had to offer. And you'll never believe who I ran into. Yeah, it's the hunky man from the start of the video. Turns out his name's Conan. Strange that this game's name's Conan too. He talks a lot, but I think he's just sitting here staring at all the sexy dancers behind him. I'd been looking up a few tutorials and whatnot about this game, and I found out there's a little hidden part behind this bar or whatever you call it. And that's where you can find this guy. His name's Seth the Drunk. Apparently, if you kill him, he drops a really powerful truncheon. Feels kind of unfair beating up an old man that's drunk. And now it was a waste of time because he doesn't have what we need. Back at base, and once again we went to go fight these creepers that keep staring at me. But luckily this time there was a named thrall there. Her name's Olena the Oathmaker. And there was another armorer there that we kind of don't need, but hey, whatever. I gave Relic Rick a truncheon so he could start knocking out Olena the Oathmaker. I also had one too. Oh, by the way, we upgraded to steel truncheons as well. Once I killed off the armorer, I started laying into Olena. I may have had low health, but Relic Rick was taking most of the brunt of the damage. I was dying and running out of stamina, but Olena was almost knocked out. And that's when this happened. Yeah, Olena killed Relic Rick. And I'm on a slither of the health. But I didn't want to lose this opportunity. I can't really afford to. Luckily, I just knocked her out, tied her up, and brought her back to the Wheel of Pain. Day 47, I think it's about time that we start working on our base and making it a little bit more complete. Because after all, it's all about that progress. Our base is now complete. I've kind of gone with like a pyramid kind of inspired design. It felt kind of fitting for this game. Oh, and Olena is now ready to be taken out of the Wheel of Pain, as she's gonna be our best friend from now on. Maybe my girlfriend. Once we stand like this, you reckon we look like a cute couple? Moving on, since we've lost Relic Kim and Relic Rick, I kind of need to replace them and get some more thralls around our base and, you know, as companions on the road. So I ventured out, found a group of more thralls, knocked them out and brought them home. Day 49 and we have a new thrall. We named this gentleman Ricardo. We also had some spare armor lying around, so I gave it to him. Now I needed Ricardo to get a lot stronger, so we went out to the turtles to mess them all up so we could get some more experience. This big brute turtle, the one with the skull in his health bar, helped quite a bit. Again, we went back to the creepy peeping toms to get some more fighters to back us up later on. Now that Ricardo's all strong, we went back to go fight the queen bee. I had a legendary weapon this time, so I figured this might be a little bit easier and we'll be a bit more successful. We were doing great. My health was looking good, Ricardo's health was looking good, Queen Bee's health was halfway, but then it all just turned. For some reason, Ricardo was just getting heaps of damage. I ordered him to move and run away. I tried to take the attention off of Ricardo, but we were too late, and Ricardo died. Day 50, and we have 2 more thralls ready to go. I didn't name these 2 just yet. I was really kind of afraid of building a connection with them. This way, they're just slaves, not real people. I then spent most of the rest of the day just collecting some aloe so we could make enough potions to last us quite a while. I did have a thrall though that I had named Alan. I actually don't remember how I got him, and I was looking through the footage and I must have not recorded that scene. And since we had Alan, I thought it was kind of funny. We did name one of them Alana, but again, no human connection involved. I then took Alan out on a new mission. We needed to go collect some silver. I found out through some little bit of research that there's a silver mine nearby. But first we need to get through some scorpions and then the rock monsters. Kind of funny when you kill these rock monsters, they get yeeted pretty hard. And I harvested this one and it drops silverstone. It's a great start, but we're gonna need quite a bit more. Luckily there's a few nodes around the place. I harvested this node and noticed that there's an entrance to a cave or a mine shaft or whatever it is. So I killed off some of the entrance guards and, you know, we had to go in and have a look. The start of the cave was kind of empty. And then eventually we ran into some scorpions. These were kind of peasant level, so we kind of defeated them pretty easily. We made our way through and then we saw these red glowing stones. And I thought to myself, great, there's going to be some new resource that we can gather to, you know, do some pretty cool stuff with. Yeah, it only gives us stone. I don't know how or why, but that's all we get out of this. Venturing on deeper into this cave, we end up fighting a boss level scorpion. We then make our way up to the last little part of this cave. That's when I realized that scorpion from before wasn't the last boss. This is the last boss, and it's significantly bigger. And I know that I can't beat this boss, so what I do is run up to the tablet behind it, learn the new things that I can learn, steal this legendary out of the box that was just there, and make a run for it. Look, I knew it was a losing fight. Play smarter, not harder. Before heading back to base, I did go and visit the city again, and this is where I found a Shemite dancer, and I know I need one of these. I waited for him to go to an area that we hopefully won't get suspected by any guards, and I knocked him out. Dancers are actually really crucial to have around your base. If you have them dancing and set in a certain area, once you're within range, you'll lose any corruption that you have on you. Plus, what kind of king would I be if I didn't have my own personal dancers? Day 52, we ventured far away from our base once again, but this time we had a certain mission in mind. I wanted to upgrade my armor because, you know, we learned some new armor that we could use. But I needed elephant skin, and you can only find them on a certain part of the map. We traveled all the way out to here, and we found some elephants. The funny thing about killing these elephants, on the last swing that you hit them with, they get yeeted into the sky. Also, since I didn't want to have to keep traveling back and forth, I made sure I got as many elephants down as possible and harvested all their skin. Seems kind of mean to kill all these dumbos, but it is what it is. Day 53, we got out of this weird pharaoh kind of skirt and armor and got changed into this pretty dope looking armor. It's called the Hycerian armor. Now, if I haven't mentioned earlier in this video, I'm kind of going for a bit of a strength build. It's a bit more fun to finish off your enemies a bit more quick and brutally. Day 54, with our new armor, we are significantly stronger than we have ever been in this 100 days so far. And I'm confident we can go and fight the Queen Bee successfully this time. I'm going in solo this time since all the other times I've gone to fight this thing, my companions seem to die. But yes, we did it. We finally defeated this Queen Bee. I harvested his body, got the key out of it, and went to unlock the chest to see what legendary item we have obtained. And we got this thing. It's called Hanuman's Garter. It's a strength weapon, which is exactly what we want, with 60 damage. Our previous weapon's gonna probably break soon, so this is good to have as a backup. Day 55, we ventured on back into this dungeon. It's actually called the Warmaker's Sanctuary. And we took Olena with us. Now, so much happened that this actually took 3 days to complete this dungeon. Let me summarize basically what happened in this dungeon. We were initially met by a bunch of skeletons and this big blue glowing guy. We killed him off quite easily. Then it led to this room that had a whole heap of massive bookshelves that had a lot of scrolls in them or something. We then had to defeat 3 different rather large, scary, big men wearing, I don't know, like goat masks or something. Once we defeated them, we collected these idols that we put on the map in the center of the room. This opened up an area that took us to the next part of this dungeon. The next part of this dungeon looked like kind of like a jail cell area, and we were met again by one of those big blue guys. And a lot of little traps lying around the area. Slayed the big blue guy and then moved on to where we were met by this person. This lady here is called the Arena Champion. She was tough. We fought her for a bit, but Olena just couldn't keep up. Yeah, our girl Olena was murdered pretty early in the fight too. I don't know how I did it. It was some sort of miracle, but I ended up defeating her. I kind of ran away a lot and then just hit her. And then ran away and then hit her again. That was just kind of my play. After defeating the Arena Champion, the next part of this dungeon was like an ice cave, but it had some black ice around the walls. And I couldn't pass up an opportunity to harvest this. After all, it's a new resource that we haven't collected. We ran through a bunch of mobs that were pretty easy to defeat and walked into this room. And that's where we saw this big dead zombie dragon. I wasn't about to fight this right now. And then finally we opened up the last door to this dungeon and was met by a big green wall. Once we walked through though, we looked behind and it turned red. Turns out we can't leave. I took this opportunity because there was 2 glowing tablets and we learned a ton of new recipes. Hopefully these are good recipes that we can use straight away. And this right here, he's the final boss. We got into fighting him and if I'm honest, he was actually a lot easier than the Arena Champion was. His moveset's quite predictable and kind of slow, so dodging it's not too hard. It just took a long time because he had a massive health pool. And that is a summary of how we finished off the Warmaker's Sanctuary. Day 58, we made it back to base and we were met by our dancer. We aptly named him Mystic Mike. He got rid of all the corruption for us and he dances pretty well if you ask me. I immediately wanted to find out what new armors and what new weapons we could craft. I went to check them out, and when I saw that they needed star metal and these armor patch stuff, I knew I don't have any means to get those resources. So for now, we're not going to go with any of these things. Also, I did score a new legendary weapon from this. We got the Noctis. So I quickly upgraded it, and this will probably be our main. I kind of like this because it's a one-handed, and its attacks are a little bit quicker. I did figure out a way to get some more star metal though. We don't have to go farm it. We can actually just destroy our old legendary weapons in the dismantling bench. And there you go. We now have 5 extra star metal. Day 59, we head back to the north, but this time we had one mission on mind. We're going to hunt down the Sumerian berserker. Why, you might ask? Well, because the Sumerian berserker is a named fighting thrall, and they're strong as and once we find him, we engage in combat. But my goal in this exchange is to knock him out, and his goal is to murder me. There were a few close calls, but we knocked him out in the end. Now we have a massively long trip home. I don't really know how he made it back safely. We did drag him the entire way. Day 60 and our Sumerian berserker is completely obedient. We decided to name him ourselves because Sumerian berserker is just too long of a name. And to me, he kind of looks like a Malcolm. And because this guy is now our strongest companion we've ever had, I had to drip him out real quick. I didn't have to worry about a weapon though, because he came with a star metal longsword. And that makes life a little easier for us, I guess. Since Malcolm's going to be our main guy for basically this entire 100 days, I had to make sure he would get real strong. So we went out to go fight some turtles to get some easy, quick levels. With a few levels up his sleeve, I wanted to test out to see how it would fend against the queen bee. Plus, it doesn't hurt to try and get another legendary weapon for us, since we can't really repair them. And for the first time fighting this queen bee, we took it down with no stress and no anxiety. We also scored a new legendary weapon. It's called the Papyrus Blade. Day 61, we head back to the north, but this time we want to go a little bit further than usual. We're going to go into the snow. We then make it to this bridge that's covered in snow. This must be the entrance to the snow biome. I start crossing this bridge on Nancy, and then I realize my health is dropping rapidly. Apparently, with this massive armor on, I can't handle the cold. Guess we're going to have to revisit this another day. So I start heading on back, but on my way home, I see these 2 towers, and curiosity got the better of me. So I went on over and noticed that there's a few locals around. I thought I'd go say hello to them. These guys weren't as friendly as I was hoping. They chose murder over friendship. And when I say murder, I mean like they're murdered, not me. Day 62, I headed over to this area. It's an old Tefari place, kind of a lower level area, but I'm actually here for a reason. I'm trying to find myself some named thralls, and apparently some spawn here. Once I entered, I kind of think they knew that I was here to kidnap some of their friends. They were quite aggressive and tried to murder me, so I gave them back the same hospitality. After searching around, there wasn't a decent named thrall here for me, so I guess that's another failed mission. Day 64, back at base, I made myself an improved stove. This is crucial for us to be able to make some food that'll help us get into the snow area a lot easier. I then went upstairs from my base, and this is where I'm going to deck it out to be my magic area. I find a nice space and place down the thermometer bench. I don't know why the words in this game are so hard to say. I then craft myself up a magic staff and try out some of the spells that I've learned. I basically just levitate some rocks that have writing on them. I'm not really too sure how effective that is in battle though. Day 65, I head on into the unnamed city. There's a lot of dangerous mobs here, but I'm on Nancy, so we run around them, which ends up being a little bit of a mistake. I seem to aggro a bunch of skeletons onto me, and I can't really avoid this fight. Malcolm's really bloodthirsty, although I don't know how he's bloodthirsty because they have no blood. I do see another obelisk in the distance, but before I can make it there to attune my bracelet, I have to kill all the mobs that are around this area. Eventually I make it there, attune my bracelet, and then head on into what's called the archives. I make my way down this hallway, ready to fight something, and then I see a big ghost in the distance. There's a wall full of scrolls though, which is kind of unfair for a short person like me. How am I supposed to reach the top? Fun fact though, if you do go to this particular one, you learn something. Anyway, I go over to the archivist and he doesn't want to fight me. It's nice to find a ghost that's actually a pacifist. He then goes ahead and brags about his amazing life when he was alive, and then teaches me the cartography skill. I just have to get back to base so I can make myself a map room. On my way back to base though, I saw a little dragon, less scarier than the bigger ones that we've seen before. I'm so confident that I fight this guy with my fists only. No, not really, I just forgot to get my weapon out. I get to work, well really Malcolm gets to work, he does most of the damage, and takes most of the damage. I think I'm kind of useless in this relationship. Day 66 and the weather was really hot, so there's no better excuse to run around gathering resources naked. We need a ton of resources if we're going to be able to make this big ass map room. If I wasn't clear before, the map room allows us to teleport to all the different obelisks that we've already attuned to in this map. and it's quite big. It won't fit inside the base, so we need to make a different area for it. The next day, we teleported over close to the Defari camp, hoping that we'll find ourselves a named thrall that we can bring home. And we did. We found the Defari witch doctor. His alchemy skills are going to help out massively for our base. I knocked this guy out and then brought him home. Day 68, we went back to go collect some more sorcerer heads from this place that I showed you earlier. Yeah, that's basically all we did that day. Day 69, yes, the funny number. We went back to that sinkhole that we found earlier, this time for good reason. I'd been watching a few tutorials online and I found out that the armor that I'm gonna need to make us through to the end game is dragonbone armor. And this is basically where you learn it. Now there's two entrances to get into here. One where you have to go through a ton of mobs and some big scary snake bosses and stuff, or we just climb down the sinkhole and go straight to the boss. Seriously, I'm all about making life easier, not harder. We make it down the bottom and I spot the big dragon boss in the arena. But over on the sides is where I can get the recipes to learn these dragonbone armors and weapons. I run around to the other side and find this other tablet with some ghosts around it. He just goes on and blah blah blah, you know, story, dialogue stuff. Now usually I'd just leave and forget about the boss because I don't like dying, but we do need dragonbone to be able to craft some of this dragonbone armor. So I guess we gotta fight this big zombie dragon thing. This fight was quite repetitive, but we got it down halfway to a quarter of health, and then it's dead. Having Malcolm with us is kind of OP. This guy's a god. Now that the dragon boss is dead, I hack away at him so I can collect some bones, and then I just climb on back out of the sinkhole. Gotta love Conan Exiles climbing mechanics. Once I made it back to base, I crafted myself a dragonbone two-handed sword. It's good to finally have something that I can continually remake if it breaks. Unfortunately, legendary items, when they break, they're gone. Day 70, I ordered my Defari witch doctor to make me some spices. Then with those spices, I made some chili, desert style. Because this chili is going to help us get to the snow, without dying hopefully. We make it to the snow bridge, I eat some chili, and then I start heading across it. And I don't die. God damn, this works. But unfortunately, I'm not really here to visit the snow area. I'm just passing through because I really need to get up to the volcano area. I need to collect some gold. And you collect it from harvesting these things. This is obsidian. It has a chance to drop a small amount of gold. Or if you're lucky, you can fight one of these rock things that are a gold variant. And if you kill them and harvest them, you'll get a crap load more gold than you would from the obsidian. I figured since I was in the volcano area, I might as well explore it a little bit. I harvest as much gold as possible, but then I also realized we're overheating, which is basically the same effect as when we were cold. I did have some juice that I made that I prepared earlier back at base. This kept us kinda cool for the meantime. My goal right now is to try and find an obelisk. This way, if I was to die up here, I could teleport back quite easily. It wasn't until day 71 that we could find ourselves an obelisk. I quickly attuned to it because I was fading and yeah, well, I died. Luckily, we had already attuned, so I respawned, went back to my body, collected it, jumped on the back of Nancy, and then headed on back south. On the way back though, I stopped off at the edge of the lake so I could harvest this. This is ice. We'll use this later on when we need to go back into the volcano area. It'll keep us from overheating. It's day 72, and you're probably wondering, why the hell hasn't this man made dragonbone armor yet? Well, that's basically because I don't have enough resources to be able to get it. I need a crazy amount of leather. So I guess we're gonna go out and kill things for leather. We literally spent the whole day murdering the entire wildlife just for their skin. Guess what? Day 73, we have dragonbone armor. May the world bask in my greatness. The next 2 days were kind of boring. We just did the repetitive farming that you've already seen during this 100 days. We even went back to the Queen Bee to see if we can get a legendary item that we can turn into some more star metal. Day 76, we went back to the unnamed city. I wanted to head over to the Aviary so I could find this bat boss. We're starting to come up to the home stretch of this 100 days, so I basically need to knuckle down and focus on completing this game. Once we kill this oversized wannabe Dracula, it drops this, the Fragment of Power, which we're going to need to complete this game. Day 77, we continue to explore the unnamed city, and that's where we found this rather tall, large, alien-like creature guy. It was kind of unpleasant that my head height is staring right at his balls. Day 78, and we're on the hunt for named thralls. And in the city right close to base, we find a named archer named Mungo 100 Arrow. And because she's an archer, she'll actually make a great base defense. I then head on back to the north to the highlands kind of area, because apparently this is where a named blacksmith will spawn. We had to fight a ton of mobs here, and I kind of only gave Malcolm a steel truncheon. So instead of doing damage, he was just knocking everybody out. Anyway, I murdered everybody, only to find that there was no blacksmith here. So yeah, everyone kind of died for nothing. Well, kinda. Instead, I just went down and found another Sumerian berserker and knocked him out and took him home. Day 79, me and Malcolm just kind of sat around, pondering our existence. No, not really. We were heading on east. We wanted to explore an area that I haven't explored at all through this 100 days. yeah, this jungle. It's pretty cool. There's a ton of different creatures here that I have never seen before, like this orange rhino kind of thingy. I don't know what it's called, but it's different. And then there's all these flamingos that are aggressive. It also kind of rains a lot here. I guess that's why it's so green and lush. Day 80, we continued exploring this jungle area and we made it to the beach. And then I found an obelisk that we could attune to, so, you know, fast traveling will be a lot easier in the future. When we attuned to it, we got jumped by these black panthers. I don't know what their problem is. Maybe they're mistaken me for a white supremacist. We then found some ruins where we discovered Planet of the Apes exists in this world too. Except they don't talk. They just hit. Venturing on deeper, I did find Buccaneer Bay. And this is where I found some people that tried to sell me some eggs for creatures on this game. They could have been cool, but I didn't think to bring gold with me on this trip, so I couldn't buy anything. Continuing on, we found ourselves a named thrall. His name was Razor Gord, and he's a cook. It's always handy to have a nice cook around base. Except this guy was just stupidly powerful. For some reason, I couldn't knock him out. I hit him as much as I could, but in the end, we just had to kill him. I was curious to see what else Buccaneer Bay had to offer. It was all going well and good until we found this sacrificial altar. Still with a dead body on it. Day 82, we killed the queen bee again, yet to see if we could get some decent legendary weapons. We got these daggers, they're not that great. Day 83, we went back to the north to go to that dungeon that required demon blood to enter. This time, of course, bringing demon blood. Once we went in, we didn't have to fight any mobs. The big bad boss was already there. He was a rather easy boss, and most of this is kind of dark, so I'll skip to the end. Although not super exciting, he did drop the datum of the Giant Kings, another item that we need to complete this game. Day 84, we went to go visit the creepiest cave in this game. It's like this creepy spider cave. But we went for good reason. We wanted to gather crystal, and there's an abundance of it. All this red glowing crystal, yeah, you can harvest it. There's also like a mass demon spider boss here, so I figured we might as well kill it while we're here. Now, we gathered all this crystal for good reason. We needed it so we could then craft ourselves some dragon powder. And we needed this dragon powder in order to make ourselves explosives so we could blow up these star metal meteorites that can only be found in the deep snow. I don't know what I was doing wrong, but I couldn't seem to place down the explosives next to it and try and blow it up. I don't know. Day 86, I came back with a different strategy. I brought myself explosive arrows. But this brought a whole new set of problems. I did crack open the meteorite, but when I harvested the star metal, nothing came out. Maybe this one particular one was a dud, so we tried it again. Yeah, nothing. This game's stupid. Since we're in the snow area and it was extremely cold, I built myself an insulated hut out here so it would protect us from this weather. Day 87, we fell deeper into our insanity. I really wanted to try and get some star metal, but again, this thing wasn't working. If you know why, please comment below. I'm hoping it was just a bug or something, not me just being stupid. Day 88, we made our way over to the Black Keep dungeon that's located in the snow area. We went through it, I got to this little area and thought it was kind of a puzzle cave, and I couldn't really be bothered. So I went back to base and just chilled. Day 89, I went back to farm some more sorcerers from that famous area that we keep going back to. Then I went back to the city that was local to us and bought this sword. It's actually a pretty decent sword. It can also cripple an enemy, which is an added advantage to this weapon. And whilst we were in the city, we came across Bragros the Baker. He wasn't hostile at first, well, until I hit him over the head, and then all his friends jumped us. I ended up knocking out this baker while Malcolm sorted out the rest of the guys. And now I have someone at base that I can order around to make me a sandwich whenever I like. I'm glad it's a male because equal rights. Day 90 and we're back at the Black Keep dungeon. I watched the whole tutorial on how to complete this dungeon, so I basically just sped run it the entire way. And then we made it to the big black night boss. I feel like with all the gear that we have and a max level character and Malcolm, this guy was pretty easy. But we're specifically after these two items because game completion is our goal. Day 91 and we're getting rather close to the end of this 100 days. I have a few bosses that I need to defeat before we can actually complete the game. Like this boss that we find in the jungle, the Witch Queen, whom doesn't really do much fighting because she just gets these big ass statues to fight me instead. And then when she finally comes out to fight me, she isn't really that strong. Maybe she needed more statues to defend her. We yoinked the Witch Queen's mask off of her face, which is another item we need to finish this game. The next location that we had to go to find another one of these puzzle pieces was still in the jungle, so we started heading on over there. And that's when we got our first ever witch hunt encounter. This is where a strong named sorcerer comes out of nowhere and just tries to fight you. This fight didn't really last very long. He wasn't that strong. I kind of had higher expectations for a witch hunt. This is where we get one of the puzzle pieces that we need to collect in order to finish this game. I just have to kill a bunch of bugs and find the right one to be able to get the piece. We then find this insectoid and harvest its remains to be able to claim what's rightfully not really ours, but we're going to take it anyway. We're kind of speedrunning these endgame days because day 100 is creeping up really quickly. So on this day, we have to fight the crocodile boss. We kill off all of his crocodile minions, fight him, kill him, harvest his remains, and claim another piece of the puzzle. It's day 96 and we're almost at the end of this 100 days. Almost. We need to conquer one last dungeon. This time it's in the volcano area. We head on over to this place called the Well of Skelos. I fight all the guards around this area, working my way up this long tower, only to find out that that big glowing light that's been in the center there, we're supposed to jump into it to get into the dungeon. I suppose it all makes sense now. It is called the Well of Skelos, not the Tower of Skelos. We fall on down into the well and then we come out of a door. Now I'm no physics major, but this kind of doesn't make sense. Once we fully enter this dungeon, we realize that we're in some parallel universe. I will say though, they put a lot of effort into the detail in this certain dungeon. We make our way down to what looks like a rather large forge, and then we have to fight a gentleman that kind of looks like he has scoliosis. I find no pleasure in defeating people that have disabilities, but he did call in a rather large group of friends to fight for him. It's a little bit of a puzzle to make our way through this. Obviously, me being me, I do try and find a shortcut. But I guess in this case, we're gonna have to go the long way. It's now day 97 and we finally made it to the end of this dungeon. We get to meet the final boss. He sends in a ton of ghost people with scoliosis. I take it that good posture isn't really a thing with these people. We finish off the last bunch of these people with bad posture and then go to fight the last person summoning them all in. Instead, he decides to unalive himself. And with that, we get the last tribute that we need to complete this game, the Shining Trapedohedron. Day 98 and we're at the end game. We head on over to this altar with all the items that we have collected. We place them on in and then it gives us an opportunity to remove our bracelet and be free from these lands forever. It also means that we have to delete our character, and I haven't done all this work for nothing, so we're not going to do that. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Again, if you did like this, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and I'll see you next time. Peace!